and welcome to Leadership Table Talk, a show designed to help you develop and improve your leadership skills and talents. I'm your host, Dr. Mary Gillam. When we think about the medical profession, we often think about traditional doctors, but what about the healthcare needs of our animals? In today's episode entitled, Understanding the Other Side of Medicine, a Veterinarian's Perspective, my guest is going to discuss her journey to becoming a veterinarian. Please help me to welcome business owner and veterinarian, Dr. Allison Fennell. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
Well, Doctor, let's just begin by just telling the audience a little about your background.
I was born in Jamaica.
Yes.
Grew up on a farm, raised chickens and cattle and goats. Stayed there till I was about the 6th grade, came to the U.S. and grew up in Jersey.
Wow.
Always wanted to be a vet, so I went to Cornell, undergrad, and for veterinary school.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Now, you talked about your family being from Jamaica. Mm-hmm. So what was the importance of getting a good education like for your family? Can you just talk about that?
Education was foremost and first. Yes. Not just because of Jamaica, because the standards are high. It was my parents.
Yes.
My father was a professor in botany, and my mother taught the gifted in English.
Wow. Throughout
Africa and the U.S.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So, I had parents that were, if you had an A, why didn't you get an A+? So,
that was wonderful to have parents like that. So you mentioned Cornell. So what was your experience like going there to Cornell?
Well, I was surprised with my experience. I thought it would be more uplifting. It was very, unfortunately, racially segregated. So I had my first true taste of racism there. So, but that on the side, overall, my experience there was amazing. I thought they offered everything, anything you wanted to study, you could study. It made me love the outdoors and skiing and hiking, so I got into that.
Oh, that is so wonderful. It's unfortunate that you had the experience that you did there, but you are an overcomer, obviously, as we will find out later. And so I just want to ask, what made you decide to want to become a veterinarian?
I can only remember that's all I ever wanted to be.
Wow.
In all honesty. I didn't know what I would do if I didn't get into vet school. Growing up on the farm, my father would discard of the disabled chicks, you know, the ones that were sickly, with deformed limbs, and I would jump over the fence and nurse them back to health. And that's kind of how it came about.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So what did your father say when you were doing all of that?
Nothing. It was just, as long as I got my other chores done, everything was fine. And a funny story with the birds imprint on you, so I would have these chickens following me while I was doing my chores.
Oh my goodness. I know that was probably a sight to see.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And that's how it first started, just nursing them back. Any of the animals that were ill, I was involved in helping with their care.
Oh, good. So let me ask regarding women in this particular career field. Is it a lot of women in the veterinary
Actually, this
medicine?
was first a white male-dominated field. Then women started to come in, and now we are most. I think the tables have turned, that it's more a female profession. It used to be heavily male in general. So now it's, I'd say, 75% female now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is really amazing. I did not know that. Okay. What are maybe some of the challenges that maybe women veterinarian professionals face? Or are there any challenges?
Well, just I think challenges in general of, especially if you own your own practice or run it, just being in the leadership role. You know, a tough woman is not looked at as tough. She's labeled differently. And so you have to overcome that. And that's a big part of it. You know, how are you to portray yourself as a tough person or in a leadership role without them feeling that way about you? And you just kind of have to ignore what you feel people are thinking about you and just be the best leader that you can.
Oh, absolutely. I would say that, growing up in the Air Force per se, in terms of my profession, and we saw that a lot in the military in general, that you really did have to just go and be the very best that you could be, and not just settle for the fact that you are a female that happened to be in the military.
Right.
Let me ask you, if you were advising a young person today who wanted to become a vet, what kind of advice would you give them?
First, you have to work with the animals. A lot of people think it's all about puppies and kittens and really cute things. Yes, you'll have those, and you hope for them. But they need to work or even volunteer anywhere animal related. If you want to go into small animal, try to find a veterinarian to shadow. Go in for the office often as you can, so you can see all aspects of it: the good and the bad, the sad, the happy. You get all of those. Also, one thing I wasn't expecting, you'll hear a lot of vets saying, "I love animals, and that's why I went in there. They like them better than people." You have to deal with the people, so you have to deal with all aspects of that. So I recommend volunteering, pet shop, anywhere that you can get experience.
Can you talk about maybe some of your experiences, especially with the SAD per se, in terms of having to deal with the family, and they may have to put a pet down or something like that?
Those are the tough ones. I think my toughest, I feel, are for the very young that just don't understand it. They just want their pet to be okay. Why can't you fix them? And then the seniors. I worry more about seniors because many times that's their lifeline to their deceased husband or wife or their child. And so I feel an extra bond in trying to make sure that pet stays alive as long and as comfortably as possible. Sometimes it's hard for the elderly to take care of their pets, so you have to devise ways for them to take care of them differently than you would a more able-bodied younger family or younger person. So it gets creative. You have to get creative.
I have a situation in which I help out a elderly lady, and she has a cat, and the cat is definitely the bond between her and her deceased spouse. The cat was really the deceased spouse who really wanted the cat and so forth, but she just began to bond with the cat and everything, and so now that cat is definitely her lifeline.
That's I consider them the true therapy pets of the world, the true therapy pets. We have many people who take their pets to be pets on wheels. They go to senior centers, they go to libraries where children can read with them, they go to daycare or centers with autistic children, so they can be used for health reasons.
Let me ask you, just going back in terms of why you wanted to be a vet, what did your parents say when you said you wanted to be a veterinarian? Did they okay, why not a doctor?
No, it seemed natural from what I did as a child. It just seemed natural to them. It didn't seem odd, even though I didn't know any true veterinarians. I just knew that's what I wanted to be. But no, they were very supportive, 100%.
That is good. So when you were at Cornell, the number of women vets that were in your class, was it a small number at that time when you first started?
It was, I'd say 50-50, or maybe 60% women. I feel it was starting to become more female-oriented, and that's about it with that.
Now, what would you say is driving that? Is it because the nurturing?
I think it's more a nurturing. I don't know if salary plays a role in that. It's caretaking, and I guess women feel they're more the caretakers. I don't understand 100% the switch.
So let me ask you, are there any animals that you would not work with? Or?
Yes, yes, so you have to determine who you're going to work with. I'm just dogs and cats.
Oh, okay.
If you work with snakes and gerbils and hamsters, that's called exotics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then there's veterinarians just for aquatic, FDA, they inspect the meat, so we do many different things.
Wow.
So
That
we're
is really
we're meat
interesting.
inspectors, marine life, zoo animal medicine, large animal medicine just for like the horses and the pigs and the sheep and things like that, and then small animal.
Okay, I thank you for sharing that. I had no idea. I
Yeah.
just because that would be one reason why I could never be a veterinarian, because I could not work on snakes.
That's right.
That snake would. I'm sorry. But okay, let me ask you: as you were mapping out your career path, did you have a mentor or coach along the way?
Actually, not really.
Okay.
I didn't. I just, each place I went, I guess I'd bond with someone. I credit my business partner, Dr. Roderick Hudson. He was kind of like my mentor. And actually, I met him undergrad. When I was undergrad, he was already at Cornell Vet School.
Okay.
And so I met him. And then afterwards, I ended up doing an internship and then working with him for about 12 or 14 years. So he was kind of like my mentor, role model.
Okay, so would you say that it might be important for maybe young people today to have a mentor or coach?
Yeah, it would be. If you could get, like I said, get in with a veterinarian to shadow, and they could take you under their wing, that would be easier than the road I took. It would be a lot easier to get someone that knows where you want to go and what you want to do.
Oh, good. When you first went to Colonial Animal Hospital and you were an associate veterinarian,
Right.
And then you stepped up, you are now the owner.
Yes.
So what has that transition been like for you?
Yeah, that was different. I ended up there. I was doing relief, just kind of helping out the doctors who owned the practice at that time. They decided they wanted to retire. And me and my business partner, Dr. Hudson, were working there for some time, and they felt comfortable with enough to hand on their practice to us to carry forth that way. So that's how we came to own. Being an associate then to owners, that was tough I guess, with the staff, just seeing us in a different leadership role. It was tough to decide how to manage people, wasn't ready for that. The ins and outs of owning a practice, what machinery you should get, the cost of things, that was also surprising, the cost of things. And just the day-to-day running is just, you have to just learn as you go.
Well, that's
Learn as you go.
That is great advice, and we will continue that conversation after the break. And so please stay tuned, and we will continue after the break.
Come on, let's go.
Hey, hi, what's your name? You live around here? You're pretty. Where are you guys going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going?
Guess it's about time to get you fixed, sweetie.
Your pets will start getting noticed sooner than you think. Accidental litters lead to millions killed in shelters each year. Help prevent more. Fix at month 4.
Welcome back to Leadership Table Talk. My guest today is Dr. Allison Fennell. And before the break, we were talking about taking over the business now, because she was initially a partner and now she actually owns the business. And so can you just continue with that conversation and educating us on some of the things that you have learned and what you would share with others about now ownership?
Yeah, so first you get to be just the doctor. That's all you get to focus on and everything. And when you become an owner, like I said, there's things that you have to focus on, like the overhead and ordering medications and machinery and coming up with different protocols and managing people. That, I guess, the staff would transition from you to being, wasn't too bad of a transition from us being associates to owners. Well, it wasn't terribly a huge difference for them. I'd say things that I've learned along the way is to be flexible.
Yes.
Yes, I was not very flexible. It will make you flexible. Just be open to change. You know, just be open to change. And I guess I was going to say one thing. One thing that I learned in a conference, which I found to be very, very helpful, is get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes, yes.
Because you don't know everything. And it's okay to not, to admit that you don't, and just learn along as you go. You know, speak to I've got other veterinarian friends that own practices also. You get to bounce ideas off through our medical associations.
Yes.
We have dinners, social dinners, and just general body meetings that help. There's continuing education that we go to, and there's managerial subject matter that you can go to in addition to all the doctor lectures. So those are very helpful.
So it's good to have a network in your profession.
Yeah, yeah. It's just it's not your, like, business is not my thing. So you have to develop a business acumen. And that's just through reading and asking and learning. One thing I loved with my staff is we grow together.
Yes.
We really grow together.
Wonderful.
I feel everybody's voice is important. So it's nice to give them some power too, so they can have a stake in how things go, how things are run, and helps things just go more smoothly.
Oh, what great advice, especially for a leader who makes your team feel like they are really a part owner in the business.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to,
Wonderful.
because they know what best they need. I could assume they need this, but it's nice to hear them say, well, I know, doc, but that doesn't really work. On paper, it looks good, but doesn't work in reality. So we have regular meetings and share ideas and implement them.
I know in the Lean Six Sigma world, they often talk about the voice of the customer, and then in organizations, it's the voice of the employee, making sure that that person is heard, like you said. That is wonderful. Let's talk about, as a woman leader, an executive here, why is it important for women to own their leadership presence?
It's important because I guess the history is take a back seat to the males. And I think there's becoming more and more female owners, entrepreneurs. It's just to know that they have a voice and they still can be themselves and be the boss.
Right, exactly.
And don't have to get labeled as such. And if you do, you still just have to be comfortable in your own. Just be comfortable in yourself.
Exactly.
And just push through.
I often tell ladies when I'm doing speaking engagements and things of that nature, is that if you want to be taken serious, then you have to conduct yourself in that manner, and you don't have to take on the persona of somebody else or whatever, but you have to be you, but at the same time recognize that the reason you are there is because of your qualifications, hopefully. But if the qualifications that really empower you and make you who you are, and that when people see you, that they see the full package, and I think a lot of times, sometimes women, like you said, it was that history that almost left people a little bit nervous about stepping out, because I do a lot of training on leadership, and then a lot of people have responded back, especially with some women, is that I'm just a little bit nervous. I'm like, but you earned this, you know. So now you have to own the fact that you are in charge and that you can add value to the role and to the organization.
And there's different leadership styles.
Yes, exactly.
Different. Some are dictatorships. This is the way it's going to be. And some just are more free-spirited, like I try to be. I try to take everybody's ideas into account. And both styles have their pros and their cons. They absolutely do. Standard of care can be good, can be great for both. And that every pet is being treated the same. I decided differently because I feel each pet is different. And our mission is to provide personalized preventative care in the comfort of a second home, is what we say. But it's individualized for that pet. So I I can do something for pet A and B, that's just not going to work for C. So we just have to improvise.
I love your slogan.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Personalized preventative care in the comfort of a second home.
I love that. I really love that. So what is some advice that you would give to pet owners? You know, some of those things that they really do need to take into account when caring for pets.
Main thing, get yearly exams.
Yes.
I know they think 1 year, oh, I'll just miss a year or two. That's like missing 8 years. So the rule of thumb is, there's no hard, fast rule, is almost 1 to 7. 1 human year is like 1 year in a pet is like 7 years in a human for the first few years. Then it goes 1 to 4. So if you miss a couple of years, you're missing anywhere from 8 to 14 years of going to the doctor. You need to go yearly. That's the one time that we get to touch your pet, look at them, and make sure they're okay. Just that one day. And we catch, and again, like I said, we're preventative care. We want to prevent. We don't want you to come in with your kidney failure kitty. We want to prevent it. We want to catch it early. So coming in yearly, twice yearly for the older pets or the ill, the ones that have chronic illness, is very helpful. Just yearly exams minimally. That's number 1. And number 2, what you feed your pet matters. What you feed them matters, just like for us. I think we're becoming more food conscious as a whole, and we're doing it the same in animals. They've got gluten-free, hypoallergenic. They've got all these kinds of different foods. They have foods for cancer, for kidney disease, liver disease, heart disease. Any of the illnesses, we've got specialized diets just to help them out that much better. Many of our food companies are doing heavy research onto food, and even as mundane as somebody might think, flavor and texture matter a lot for animals. And so one company, Royal Canin, for instance, does a lot of research on flavors and textures and shapes of food that pets will like. That fascinates me. The food industry fascinates me.
I'm just so amazed at all this great information that you're sharing about animals. I was like, oh my God.
And what some people may not know is many, pretty much all the specialists that we have for ourselves, we have for animals. We have cardiologists, ophthalmologists, dermatologists, cancer specialists, oncologists, orthopedists, ophthalmologists, behaviorists. We have all those things that we have for us because they get the same diseases pretty much as we do.
Oh my goodness,
We're heavy now into holistic care. Acupuncture, laser, massage, all these things that they have. So even for me, being out as long as I have, it still fascinates me at all the things that we have for animals.
It is so amazing. I know the first time I saw, there was a advertisement or something on TV. It was up in New York where they actually had a gym for the dogs. I was like, really?
With physical therapy, sometimes I get to experience those other things that I don't provide through my clients, like physical therapy. You know, those big balls that we sit on or we roll on. They use those for physical therapy, massage. The acupuncture still fascinates me still. We've had many pets that shouldn't be able to walk or and then are because of acupuncture. That oral medication has failed and alternative medicine has worked.
What I thought was really interesting was when our late President George W. Bush Sr. passed, and his dog that was lying in front of the casket and everything. And I was like, the emotional bond that develops and what happens when that person moves on and now that animal is left to...
And they grieve. Animals grieve. We have many cases where the pets have been together for years or decades, years, and one dies and the other one goes into mourning. They stop eating, they get sick. So just like for us, you know, we always... And then some of them are happier. It's very odd. Then they surprise you, and some of them are like, okay, now I'm the leader. But it is amazing to watch that side of it. And there's still so much we don't know.
Wow.
There's still a lot that we don't know.
Your what you have shared today has just been amazing. Now, before we close, I just want to ask, are there like maybe 3 leadership lessons that you would like to share real quick with our audience before we leave?
Yes, the 3 that I told you I mentioned the most is be flexible. You have to. There's just going to be change, and you have to just succumb to the change, and because you can keep pushing forward like I was. I was very pig-headed and tried to be inflexible. Doesn't work. You need to be flexible, and you need to learn new skills. Yes. What worked 5 years ago just doesn't work now. Okay, so be flexible and open to change, and again, don't be afraid. Really, I think the main thing is don't be afraid to not know. Yes. Don't be afraid to seek help.
Absolutely.
And those are very important, because you feel like you should know it all, you know, and sometimes you just don't.
So if people would like to find out more about your business, the hospital, how can they reach you? What is your website?
Yes, just go to Colonial Vets, www.colonialvets.com, and that's our website. We're in the Springfield Plaza. Many people will know where Trader Joe's or Bob and Edith's is, so there, and by our phone number.
Oh, good. And but I don't know where the time has gone, but I want to thank you, Dr. Fennell, for being with us today, and I want to thank you, our listening audience, for watching our show. And so, again, if you'd like to know more about this show, please reach out to me at www.executiveleadershipbiz.com. This is Dr. Gillam, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.